Learning through mistakes. A journey. Once in the bustling village of Maplewood, a young boy named Timmy wanted to become the greatest baker the village had ever seen. Every day, he watched the famous baker, Mr. Henry, whipping up delicious pastries that made everyone's mouths water. One bright morning, Timmy decided he would try baking on his own. He borrowed his mother's apron, washed his hands, and set out all the ingredients: flour, sugar, eggs, and butter. With a heart full of hope, he decided to make a chocolate cake. "This will be a masterpiece," Timmy said to himself confidently. Timmy began mixing the ingredients. He accidentally spilled too much flour into the bowl. "Oops," he muttered. But he didn't let that stop him. He added a little more sugar to balance it out, thinking that would make the cake even sweeter. Then, while breaking the eggs, one slipped out of his hand and splattered on the floor. Timmy sighed. His dog, Sprinkles, quickly rushed over and happily licked up the mess. Timmy giggled, feeling a little better, and cracked 2 more eggs into the batter. Finally, he poured the mixture into a pan and slid it into the oven. As he waited, he imagined everyone in the village lining up to taste his wonderful creation. But when the timer dinged and he pulled out his cake, it was a disaster. The cake was lumpy, burned on the edges and collapsed in the middle. Timmy's shoulders slumped. "I've ruined it," he whispered, feeling tears prickling his eyes. But then Mr. Henry, who had been walking by, poked his head in through the open window. "Well, what do we have here?" he asked with a kind smile. Timmy told Mr. Henry all about his mistakes and how his cake had turned into a mess. Mr. Henry chuckled softly. "You know, Timmy, I wasn't always a great baker," he said. "I've burned bread, made cookies that were as hard as stones, and even once created a pie that exploded in the oven." Timmy's eyes widened. "Really?" he asked, astonished. "Of course," Mr. Henry said. "The most important thing is that I learned from each mistake. Baking, like anything, is a journey. Each time you mess up, you learn a little more." Timmy's frown turned into a thoughtful smile. "So, it's okay to make mistakes?" he asked. Mr. Henry nodded. "It's more than okay. It's how you become better." With renewed energy, Timmy cleaned up his kitchen and tried baking again, this time being extra careful with the ingredients. His cake wasn't perfect, but it was fluffier and sweeter than the first attempt. As he tasted a warm piece, Timmy realized that mistakes weren't so bad after all. And from that day forward, Timmy's baking journey continued, full of laughter, messes, and delicious discoveries. Vocabulary explanation. Bustling. Meaning, full of busy activity, noise, and energy. Example. Used to describe a lively place like the village of Maplewood, where there is a lot going on. Masterpiece. Meaning, a creation that is considered exceptional or perfect. Example. Timmy hopes his cake will be a perfect example of baking, something he can be proud of. Splattered. Meaning, thrown or scattered messily, often in drops or patches. Example, refers to the mess Timmy made when an egg fell and spread across the floor. Disaster. Meaning, a complete failure or something that goes very wrong. Example, describes Timmy's first attempt at baking, where the cake didn't turn out as planned. Encouraging meaning, giving support, confidence, or motivation to someone. Example, Mr. Henry's kind words helped Timmy feel better about his mistakes and motivate him to try again. Journey. Meaning, a process of moving from one stage to another, often involving growth or learning. Example, baking is described as a journey, symbolizing Timmy's process of learning through his experiences. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.